Okay, welcome back to part 2 of our Introduction to the Dairy Raid offense series. And today we are going to build off of our last chapter and continue talking about the passing game. Last week we talked about some of the basic passing concepts, and we only went through 4 of them, of the air raid offense and how they're used in the Wisconsin system. And today we're going to kind of build off that by talking about 2 areas of the passing game that are often misunderstood, especially what their role is in the offense, and talk about how they're utilized. And that is screens and checkdowns. And we're going to start with the checkdown. Going through, I think it was first 2 weeks of the season, Braylon Allen was one of the top quote-unquote receivers in the conference. He also had about 25 yards on 13 catches. And your average Badger fan is wondering, why are we throwing these little dink and dump little passes when we could be doing something else? Could be doing something more constructive with our running backs, etc. Well, you're kind of missing the point of why the ball is getting to the running back in the first place on a check down. So that's what we're going to go through here in the classroom, and we're going to talk about the role of the running back in the passing game and build up from there. All right, so here we are in huddle. We're in the classroom, and we're going to go through a typical passing play, one that we just talked about last week. And we're going to build up the running back's role in this system. So we're going to talk about the spot snag concept. Okay, so if we all remember from last week, we got the slant, which would convert into a sit. We got our corner. Our running back would be running a bubble. And we got our backside routes, our seam, and our 10-yard out. Okay, but we're reading over here. Okay, so let's talk about the use of the running back in the traditional passing system, or in other cases when we're not sending the running back on the route. So what is the running back doing? He is part of the protection. Simple, right? Okay, so this gives us a 6-man protection. It also changes how the QB views pressure from the defensive backfield, meaning when we protect with 6, okay, quarterback is responsible for the 7th man. They bring 6, we can protect 6. If they bring 7, we've got to go hot. Okay? By removing the running back from the protection, now we subtract 1 from everything here. So instead of 6 in protection, we have 5. If the defense brings 5, we can protect. If they bring 6, we got to go hot. Okay? So when we're doing this, let's look at this from a point of view of a play call. Why would we be becoming the running back? Well, normally in these passing sets, the running back is not the primary receiver. The running back is serving different roles in the passing play, but he's usually there as a placeholder. And it's his job to help open up the receivers above him, just as the other receivers are trying to find their way in the reads. So if we're looking at this spot concept, okay, we're working that triangle read that we talked about. We've got inside, we got high, we got low. Creating a triangle, and we've got a defender in the middle of the triangle. Well, what the running back does to help this play open up is if he gives a low, wide threat, it is going to have to cause this flat defender, whether we're in man or not, to have to account for it. Okay, so if we have any kind of zone coverage, he will have to worry about the running back in this situation. Now, the flat, for me, is 5 yards on either side of the ball, so he's in no man's land. So wherever he chooses is wrong. So this quote-unquote check down from the running back is serving an important role to open up the primary receiver in this coverage. Okay. Now, if the defense comes out and runs man, where the corner is running with the spot and the flat defender is running with the corner. Now we get a situation where we get the running back out in space with no defender in front of him. So we read 1, we read 2, nothing there. We hit our outlet. And hitting an outlet is much more beneficial to the offense than the alternative. Because what's the alternative? Well, we throw to somebody who's not open, or we unnecessarily break a clean pocket to force a ball in a spot that's not open. Okay? If the quarterback comes out and we like this leverage, he's reading 1, 2, 3. And if 1's not open, he's going to 2. If 2's not open, he's going to 3. That's the idea. He's not going to have time to come back to the backside. Again, this is pre-snap leverage alignment reading. If he doesn't like this, he's going to stick over here regardless. Okay? So that's how the running back can be a part of the pass concept and end up being the check down. Now, what about, as we saw a lot this year, where it just seems like we set a vertical concept and basically the quarterback's internal clock hit the max and nothing was open. So what do? Do we force an incompletion, or do we get the ball out in space with defenders who likely have their backs turned to the running back and give him a chance to make the play? Now, there's a very good chance that the play could still net 0 or worse. But the alternative is the math doesn't work out, that if you want to force the ball into a bad situation, the likelihood of something bad happening is much higher than it is to put the ball in a 50-50 situation where the ball carrier is at least has a chance to make a move and make a play. So this is actively gaining 0 yards as opposed to reactively forcing 0 yards or worse. So I don't know about you, but I would much rather hit a check down and let my running back actively try to gain some yards than force a bad throw, force a break from the pocket, or force a quarterback who's not comfortable with running to take off. Sometimes the best option is to throw the check down. And that's what we're going to do in the situation here. Okay, so now after we've talked about on the board how these plays, how the running back gets involved in the passing game with checkdowns, with swings, however you want to call it, let's take a look at some clips here on film and let's see how at least we are actively trying to gain yards instead of reactively trying to not force a bad pass. All right, so here we go. So just got a few here lined up. We'll just kind of go through it and see what we got. So we got, this is from Iowa. And let's take a look how this play develops. So we come out, okay, they're just running a stick concept. So again, in a stick concept like this, all curls, whatever you want to call it, running back is actively in this route. And it's a leverage read. So in the situation we ended up getting here is the defender who's going to be in charge of the running back in this case is really nowhere to be found, or we end up passing off the slot receiver inside, and we get double stacked here on our outside receiver, and we've got space to get the ball in the flat. Now, are we going to get a lot of yards out of it? No. But when we look at the situation and we look at the read, that's the ball to throw. Okay, we got 2 for 1 here. We got 1 sitting inside here. We've got a nice clean passing angle. We only need to get 4 yards. Okay, we catch the ball, and what we're hoping here is that Jackson Aker can make a guy miss and we can gain some yards. Okay, Castro's a hell of a safety, so he was able to break down and get there. Playing down in the box, this is just Fantastic footwork. But it's the right read. And if you're throwing in a situation like this, this is the type of throw we want. Nice, easy, no decision. Just get the ball in the flat. Okay, continuing on from the Iowa game. Next up, again, we got a vertical concept. And here, what we're going to end up having, the running back's down low. And what he's doing, see, he's holding eyes low to create space behind. So if these defenders would have sagged, then we would have hit the ball in the flat. But in this case, it opens up space for the curl, and we stick the ball right behind. So a lot of times you see the check down as the end of the play. Sometimes it's part of the beginning. And we do a really good job of layering the defense and creating a hole in them that results in a nice gain. But without the running back being here and the threat for that third receiver, those defenders are going to be allowed to sag and play everything underneath them. Now they have to play high and low. Okay, simple there. Okay, so here we go again from Buffalo. And so we're gonna fake the stalk, gonna look high, defenders sagging, covering the deeper routes, and we just get it down in the flat. Now here, it's a situation. Contact is initially made on the line of scrimmage, and our running back is able to break a tackle and move forward for a couple yards. So again, instead of forcing the ball, and again, if we had a situation the running back is in the route, or in protection, we're going to force the ball to one of these downfield receivers. But we're going to make a smart throw for the situation, get the ball down in space, get us a manageable third down. Okay, I'm going to go through one more here, and then we're going to go from there. All right, so here, this isn't the running back in the check down. This is, we get again, a vertical concept. We're going to get kind of a crosser from the Y. We're going to send our wide receiver on a deep curl, and we're going to send the running back up the seam. But now that's not there, so we check down to the motion guy. And again, it's a situation where the ball that we want to throw the ball down here. We want to throw the ball deeper in space. It's not there. We're not comfortable. So instead of forcing it, we're going to put the ball in one of our best playmakers' hands and let him try to gain some yards. Now, Buffalo does a pretty good job coming downhill. Okay, we don't break the tackle, but it's better than the alternative. It's better than the alternative of throwing an incomplete pass, which we do not want to do, or force a bad pass. Sometimes 2 yards is better than 0. As stupid as it sounds, it's very true. All right, so there's a few examples of how we use the check down, and we use we use the check down as part of a high-low concept. And so when you see the ball get to the running back on the end of a play, what you need to be doing is thinking, where is the running back in the progression? And why didn't the ball get downfield? Not because where it's going. Try to figure out where it was supposed to go. And if that's not there, let's get out in space and let our ball carrier make the best of it. All right, next we're going to move on. We're going to be talking about some screens. So we're going to go back to the classroom and have a little chat about that. Okay, we're back in the classroom now, and we're going to start talking about screens and their role in the offense. It's easy to say that screens are an extension of the run game, and they are, especially if you are a team that maybe is not strong up front, but in terms of the air raid, what screens are another way to force the defense to defend the entire field at the same time. And not only vertically, but horizontally. And when we run screens, for me, there are 3 basic screens that we can talk about. We have bubble screens, we have flat or running back screens, and then we have tunnel screens. Those are the easiest ones that you're going to see used in the air raid offense. So bubble screens, obviously, we saw them a lot this year, and you'll see different variations of how we do it, regardless. So we're going to say we're going to send the running back on the bubble. What you're going to end up, obviously, we're going to get base blocks on the front side. And then how the box takes it, it depends on how your system works. We saw a lot this year where the offensive line would basically get into a pass set, 1,001, 1,002, whatever, and then they would release upfield and then just treat this almost like a wide draw. So we sell the defense upfield, we sell the defensive line upfield, we sell the linebackers to drop in their pass zones, and then we get the ball out in the flat and we let the running back make a play. Okay, so that's situation number one. Another way you do it, and it's the way that I do it, is I send my offensive line here on outside zone reach blocks, and we try to just hold everything that's in the box and just get it out in space and get ourselves in a one-on-one situation. And that works pretty well. But again, that has to go really quick. And if you have defenses that can flow downhill, sometimes that can be an issue. So that's why you see, like we just talked about, more of a draw action where we bring the defense, we bring the front line down, and we encourage the secondary to go back. All right, so there's your bubble screen. Next, when we talk about running back screens, we can run different variations where we either send the running back to check the gap and then sit down, if Huddle will agree with me. And then what we'll do is, again, we'll pass set. Oh, it's not agreeing with me. We'll pass set. And then what we'll end up doing is releasing 2 or 3, then up the middle to create secondary options and reads there. So that's one way we'll do it. Another way that we'll do it that I like a lot better, makes it a lot simpler, is I'll send the running back through the line and either have him step up and then straight down the line of scrimmage. We'll send the offensive line in pass protection, okay, just like we normally would. And then we'll send our receivers, we'll basically tell them, just run your guy off. And then once, if the defense bites, we sit down and we break and we block. Quarterback will take 1 step, 2 step, maybe 3 step. He'll break the pocket a bit and just dump it out in the flat. But since the ball is thrown at or behind the line of scrimmage, these blockers can go downfield no problem. But again, we're selling a vertical action and just getting the ball out in the flat. We can also run this very similarly with similar action from the running back. So again, sit up, check up, and then hit the flat. And then we'll send the 2 or 3 of the offensive linemen in a quick set, and then they'll dump out. We'll send one to wall off the outside. We'll send the other to set up a little bit of a highway there, and then our running back will catch the ball here in the flat and turn out the field. So there's a couple ways that we get the running back involved in the screen game. And then finally is kind of the one that you... Sorry, that's my cat. The way that we traditionally see the screen in the air raid, and that is the tunnel screen. And this one takes a little bit of time to develop, but when it does, it gets a lot of big bodies out in space on a bunch of little guys who don't want to deal with it. So how we're going to run a tunnel screen in a traditional sense is, so we're going to get the ball out here. We're going to get it just a quick step or 2 up, retreat behind the line of scrimmage. Okay, we want to get a body out on that corner, so we'll go vertical up on the nickel, we'll slot out. And then interior-wise, we'll sell our pass sets from our tackles. We'll pass set 1,001, 1,002, whatever. And again, we'll have our guard work to kick out. We'll have our center work to get up the alley. And we'll have our backside work to cut off anything inside. And we end up catching the ball right about here. And then we got a nice little tunnel that's going to get us upfield and work from there. Again, great play if you got the horses who can get upfield. But I think as you see, we're going to watch some examples. We tried to run some variations of this year, and didn't quite have the bodies to get moving here quite the way we like it. So next, we're gonna get into film again. We're just gonna look at just a few examples of how Wisconsin ran screens this year, and we'll see how well they worked. All right, here we go. Back in huddle. We're gonna take a look at a couple clips here, and we'll talk about what we're talking. All right, so this is a nice little setup here. So we're running basically a package play here. We're running a bubble screen out here, so the bubble, just like we talked about, lever or stalks, get the ball out in space, and then the backside, running a little bit of a tunnel screen. And again, we're working outside with the tackle. Guard, we're looking to work up. Center, guard looking to work out. Center's looking to work in. In a perfect world, looks like neither of them they all just both kind of went upfield. But again, that's creating a little bit of the tunnel. Now, fortunately, because we had whatever the heck this was out here, looks like we were trying to get a cut, and Malman put his head in the wrong spot. You want to work inside hip, not outside hip. But we get the ball out in space. We get a little bit of yards, so that's not bad. But again, a leverage read. And again, this was great. And this is why the checkdowns work. We throw this enough, that causes these linebackers to have to react. And if we get this just a little bit more cleanly, that's a big gain. All right, let's move on to another one. Okay, next up. So this is more of an access throw, but again, we're working off play action. So this is another variation way we do it. We're going to action off of the power, throw the bubble. We've got leverage, get the ball outside, get it upfield. Easy. Okay, let's see what we got next. Again, from the Buffalo game. We're in a lot more basic screen. So here's another version. This is a slot tunnel. And again, this is a really, really nice design. We're faking the power, and then we're releasing the center and the guard out. I really like how that gets set up. Let's take a look at this again. Oh, sorry, the tackle and the guard. Tackle and the center. Jeez, I cannot talk. So we would be trying here. We're going to work upfield. We're looking for a kick out here. I think Bortolini gets a little bit lost, but when you have an athlete like Pauling, we're actually not a bad job here by Malman to get out eventually. Picks up 32, and we're off to the races. Create a little bit of a tunnel. So really nice job there. All right, last one we're going to look. Okay, so we're back here to wrap up today's video, our visual aids for the chapter that hopefully you're reading on Badger Notes about our checkdowns and our screens. And, I think it's really important that you look at these plays or how the running back is getting the ball, especially in the checkdowns on these screens, as not just the outcome, but as a play as the whole. So if we're hitting the running back in the flat for a 1-yard gain or nothing, what was the alternative? Look at the play develop. Was there something upfield that we could have gotten to, or was there nothing? Okay. Do we want to train our quarterbacks to be aggressive and force bad habits? Or do we want them to throw the ball based on the progression and based on where the ball is supposed to go via playbook? I think that's a simple answer. We want to take how the play is designed to work. And yes, sometimes the ball ends up to your third or fourth option because nothing opens up downfield for a variety of reasons. But instead of talking about we throw too many checkdowns, I would say at least we're not trying to throw the ball into a bad situation. Could be a lot worse. And then for screens, it's something that we're going to get better at as we get better athletes on the offensive line. But as you can see, they are a great way to just pop off a big play if you can get the bodies in the right position. It's all about getting the ball out in space and getting big bodies out in front to block for it. It's the same concept as running a power or running a toss or anything like that. It's just done with a little bit more creativity, a little bit more flair, and forcing the defense to defend the entire field. That's the name of the game in the air raid offense, both with the checkdowns and with the screens. All right, so That's chapter 2 of our introduction to the dairy raid offense. Next time, we're going to get into what some people think don't exist in the air raid offense, and that is the run game. And we're going to start talking about how we use the inside zone scheme in the dairy raid offense. All right, so we'll see you then. Thank you for watching.